Hey everyone, this is Eric Chabot here. I am at The Ohio State University, which is one of the largest college campuses in the entire United States. You know, we are so fortunate today because Ohio State is on spring break and we have the entire Ohio Union to ourselves. The Ohio Union is where students come together to eat and they hang out. It's one of the meeting places for all the students on the campus. So we're here today to talk a little bit about something that comes up on a regular basis on the college campus, and that is the existence of God. To talk about the existence of God is very important because that's one of the main reasons we exist at The Ohio State University. Our goal here is to get students to slow down a little bit and think about whether a personal God even exists. In the midst of all their studies and trying to get a degree and try to find a career, we want them to really take a couple minutes or maybe 5 or 10 minutes and just think about such a pertinent topic. So what I want to do is talk a little bit about some of my experiences with talking with different students about the existence of God. You know, Ohio State's a very diverse campus with almost 60,000 students or more. And naturally, we're going to find here many students approach the existence of God in different ways. That means that there isn't necessarily a one-size-fits-all approach for each student. So let's talk about some of these different ways people think about the existence of God on a large college campus. Now, I'm also going to point out some of the shortcomings of these approaches, okay, and some of the challenges that come up, all right? Now, the most common approach on a regular basis is what we call religious experience. That means that, a lot of people may say, I've never really had a religious experience. I've never really had God reveal himself to me. You know, God should give me a sign or show me he's there, or I should feel God in some way. That's a very common approach. And of course, biblically speaking, we do encounter the God of the Bible through the work of the Holy Spirit. But, that can be challenging because in many cases, a lot of different religions have different religious experiences. There is a large Mormon church on this campus. It's actually right around the corner here. And they actually send their missionaries out all over the campus. And you know what? One of the main ways they try to argue for the Book of Mormon, they tell students to read the Book of Mormon. And if they're open to reading it, they can know it's true. God will confirm for them the Book of Mormon is true. That's a very, very experiential approach, and it's very subjective. The religious experience approach can have some challenges because a lot of people don't always have the same experience, and in many cases, they have no experiences with God. And so we as Christians can certainly boast of our experiences, but in many cases, we have to take a different approach with students who don't believe in God. Now, another approach that students take is called an evidential approach. This is the most common approach on a large college campus such as The Ohio State University. Naturally, there's a lot of skepticism, a lot of objections to what the Christian belief is. Now, a couple approaches within the evidential framework is called the historical approach and the scientific approach. Now, we as Christians believe that God has spoken somewhere in history. That means that God has decided to show his purpose for humanity in a religious text such as the Bible. Now, that creates some challenges because many students can go on the internet and read all kinds of information about the Bible. And they have many questions about the reliability of the Bible. Has it been translated accurately? Can we trust the witnesses? Are they telling the truth? What about supposed contradictions in the Bible? What about this? What about that? So we have a lot of work to do in helping people to know they can trust a historical approach to the existence of God. Another part of the evidential framework is called the scientific approach. That's a very, very common way that people approach the existence of God on a large college campus. Now, I do believe there are some good scientific reasons to believe in God. I don't have time to go into all the arguments right now, but it does have some challenges on a large college campus because in many cases, a lot of students will say, well, if you're going to try to say God explains this part of the natural world, that's really God of the gaps argument. That means that there's a gap of knowledge we have and you're trying to fill it in with God. And science is always changing. It's finding new information, and perhaps one day we'll be able to fill that gap of knowledge with a scientific answer. And so we need to deal with that issue as well. So that's another challenge we have with the scientific approach. Now, another approach to the existence of God is called the pragmatic approach. A lot of students may say to me, well, you know, when I'm thinking about the existence of God, I'm really asking, is this really gonna make a difference in my life? I mean, what's God gonna do to really make a practical difference? How's he gonna help me? What's gonna happen here? Is it gonna really help me in my career or choices I make? And this comes up a lot. A lot of people think very pragmatically. You know, that may seem like a very valid approach, but the pragmatic approach has some real challenges as well. What if you believe something that makes a difference in your life that actually is based on a lie? Obviously, there are all kinds of things people believe that can make a difference in their lives. I mean, I'll be honest with you. I've talked to people on the campus that believe in different religions and have different religious experiences, and they will tell me, this really makes sense in my life, it's working out in my life, it's making a difference. But I know from my own studies that what they believe does not have good evidence behind it, and I personally don't think it's based in reality, okay? And then finally, another approach that people take the existence of God is what's called the existential approach. And this means that when they think of the big questions of life, such as meaning and purpose, where am I going when I die, why am I here, these are existential questions that they have. And perhaps God can answer these existential questions. Now, this approach has some validity to it, but once again, if it's not tied into something that's based on evidence or has facts behind it, you can end up believing something that is not based in reality. And so these are some of the challenges that come up when talking about the existence of God. Now, you may say to yourself, wow, this is a lot of stuff to think about, and how do you handle it on a large college campus such as The Ohio State University? Well, this is why we have an apologetics ministry on the campus called Ratio Christi. Now, our approach to the existence of God is really what we call a classical apologetics model. That means that we start with the existence of God outside the Bible. We talk about why we think God makes sense of reality better than no God. And then we work our way into the Bible and we look at historical evidence and why we think Jesus is the ultimate revelation of God. So we do have a framework and a model we use here at The Ohio State University, and we think that it is effective in talking to people about such an important question as the existence of God. Thank you.